today I'm going to talk about something so important. It all encompasses the housing crisis, more people becoming van lifers, doing the nomad life. We can't afford rent anymore. We can't afford to keep our home. Okay? So this all encompasses it. And I've got a great letter from John Cook. So hang on. Let's go and watch it all the way to the end. This is very important. It might be specific, very detailed, but it is important. Let's go.
Excusez-moi. Excusez-moi. Et je peux vous poser une question, s'il vous plaît? Bonjour.
I have a letter. I have two of them from the same person. And his name is John Cook. Okay. He made two comments back to back. How do I get a physical address on my driver's license? Second one. Just tell me. I know. Just tell me, how do I get a physical address for my driver's license and work? I've been asking this for years now, and all I get is vague answers. Well, let's not be vague, okay? But I will tell you, John, this is not an easy subject, okay? And it will take effort, and it might take money, okay? So please be aware. But when you get it, when you get your address as a nomad or in van life, you're okay now, okay? Then you'll have it. But it does take effort. Just like, not to go off subject, I don't want to be vague, but just like my van. I mean, I had trouble with my van the last 3 weeks. I didn't like it. No, I mean, it took effort and it took money to get it fixed. But now I'm a happy camper. It's fixed, okay? Okay, so let's get right into it. I'm not going to be vague, but I am going to be very specific, and I'm going to give you detailed information. In comments, I'm going to pin a comment, and I'm going to leave addresses, and I'll probably leave most of what I'm going to be reading here because I took notes. And also, I'm going to mention I've got the book, How to Live in a Minivan, the Minivan Leeway. I'm Minivan Lee, and I live in my minivan. I have lived in a minivan for 8.5 years now. So I'm not an expert on everything, but I do research, and I've had to go through certain things. Now, the chapter on domicile, your domicile is the state, your address, and in which state that you have agreed to follow the rules and the laws. Okay? You can only have one domicile, and John wants one. He wants to know how to get a domicile as a nomad. And you can only have one. You can have addresses anywhere you want. You can have P.O. boxes, 1 billion of them if you want. But you can only have one domicile. If you have homes in different states, you have to choose which one is going to be my domicile. The laws that I follow, okay? And let's get into this, how to get a domicile. The chapter on that is long. It's detailed. I suggest if you're thinking about van life, this is your book. Okay, it's on Amazon. It's not expensive. It's paperback and it's ebook. I suggest the paperback so you can take notes in it. And I've got QR codes in there that will lead to all of the playlists that I have because I've been doing videos for 6 years now. Okay, so I've got quite a few. Okay, let's get into it. I'm going to list all the I'm going to list all legit methods to get a license approved address. Okay. Now, let me get that over there. Now, the world is changing, and I've mentioned that. I did mention Florida, and they have changed their laws. Okay. Well, really isn't their rules. on mail forwarding and how they're dealing with addresses. So I'm not going to recommend Florida. I mean, I love Florida and I love everybody living in Florida. But if you want to become a nomad, if you're in van life and you want to get a mail forwarding address in Florida, I would nitz that. That doesn't, and nomads, just because they have a mail forwarding address in Florida, doesn't mean that they're going to stay in Florida. Van lifers move around, okay? And but you can have your domicile in Florida and still not spend much time there. I mean, seriously, the way mail forwarding companies work is they'll get the mail to you. You don't have to go visit them. They'll send it for a price. They'll send it to wherever you are. So I'm not trying to put down Florida. I'm really not. I love Florida. But they've changed a few things. And it could grow across the country, which is about the book that I wrote, Blackout Nomads. It is the whole book premise. It's a van life thriller, is centered around what Florida did with the rules. Okay? Well, let's get started. Sorry about all those little offshoots, but I want to get this started correctly. Let me take a drink, okay? I'd offer it to you, but it's only got that much, okay? I saw this. I wasn't even going to film today, but I saw this from John Cook, and I want to get this out, okay? Now, you could rent a home. There's a way that you can get an address. You can rent a home or a room or an apartment, okay? You bring in a lease that you rented it, okay? And you take it to the DMV or MVD, and you get your license. You say, well, this is where I live. Now, I'm not going to tell you to do this or not do it, but what you can do, impossibility, is then what you can do is later, give up your lease. You can find places that lease month to month. You don't have to sign up for a full year. I'm not going to tell you to do that, but it is a possibility. I'm just letting you know that, okay? Some people do it. And like I said, you can buy a house or you can buy land. And what you do is you take the deed in to the DMV and you get yourself a driver's license. But this is more for a long-term domicile and full address access. I don't think you really want to go buy a house. Now you can buy land, but it has to have an actual address on it. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but it seems to me, let me know in comments, it seemed to me just because you buy land, it's undeveloped land, a lot of people are doing it way out, where are you going to get your mail? Probably also have to get a P.O. box number, and that doesn't always work. Okay, so I'm just saying, people say, oh, go get land. That's not always the best case for everybody. Seriously. Okay, the next way to do it is a friend or a family member. Yes, do you have a friend somewhere in the United States who will let you use their address as your domicile? You don't have to bother them. You don't have to run and get mail all the time, okay? What you need to do is just say, I'm not going to bother you with this. In some states, you can actually put in that you want to opt out on junk mail. That way, they don't keep getting extra junk mail that comes in your name. But you could do that. You could also pay them money every month. Say, please, can I use that? I'm willing to pay you money. And then you could agree on what kind of price you want to pay. And that he would accept, he or she. But you can also, if you have a family member somewhere, you can ask them, say, can I use your address as my domicile? There are probably 50-50. Some are going to say, absolutely. And then the other 50% say, absolutely not. Yeah, they don't want a bunch of mail coming. They don't want to be responsible for your mail or anything like that. The main thing you're going to need if you're using a family or a friend is you need to stick around long enough because they're going to mail you that driver's license. Yeah, so you got to be there to get it. Otherwise, I suppose you could leave and then you could give your family or your friend an address, a P.O. box, a UPS, a store or something, say, mail it to this address, okay? And then I'll pick it up. But I think it's best just stay there and grab it. That way it doesn't get lost in the mail or anything like that, okay? So you can ask a family, ask a friend somewhere and say, please, can I use this? And you could try it out for a year. If not, then you'll have to go with another method that I'm going to list. Got it? So I'm not going to be vague on this. Some people want to do it. Some people don't want to do that. Okay? Now, let me say something about that. Here's a little offshoot. If you're using the UPS store, and you need that family or friend, okay, to send you a letter that came, or send you your license that came, or send something that's important, and they're going to say, well, this is important, and you say, well, I'm in California right now. There's a UPS store real close to me. Can you send it to that? Let me just say this. If it's letter size, they make sure that they know that even if it's a letter and it's a letter size, they have to put it in a large envelope, okay? Because UPS will not handle that, okay? They can't. That's USPS, nice United States Postal Service. That's their deal, the envelope size. Say, please put it in, buy a large envelope and put it in there, and here's the address of the UPS store, and mail it. And make sure they put that envelope inside that, because UPS won't deal with it. It happened to me once, and it was very important. It was my sticker for my car registering my car, and it was that little sticker. And yeah, you don't want to be losing that. You don't want that getting lost in the mail. So there's just a little heads up on that. Okay, so what you do if you're using a family or friend, what you do is they say, okay, yes, you get on the phone right away or get online and say, call your bank and say, I need you to send me a statement because I've moved. And you can give them the address. Say, please send it to this address. And then they'll say, well, you can do it here. Say, no, I need the address. I need an official letter that this is my address. Okay, there you go. Also, contact Social Security. Yes, you can do that right online. And what you do is say, I need you to send me a confirmation letter of how much I get per month. Okay? They'll do it, and they'll send it to the address. Or what you can do is you look up, you tell them this is my new address, they'll change it, and then you can go ahead and print it out. Go to the library or something and have them printed so you can take that. So you wait for your bank, and then you wait, and then you get your Social Security letter. You need 2 identification letters that this is your address. And that's what I did. I recently changed mine to my daughter that was in Cincinnati to my son that's in Arizona. Yeah, so I used my family. And I got those letters. It took about a month and to get everything together. And then I took it in and I got my driver's license. And I called my insurance. I called anybody that it mattered, that it would affect. Yeah. So, and now your insurance, if it's another state, your insurance, the rates will probably change. You may have to even change. I was going with AAA, but because it was on the other side of the country, it was an entirely different system. So I kind of nixed them. What they quoted me was, woo! And so I went with another insurance company. I checked on for prices. So here's the thing, John Cook, is it takes effort. It does. It's not just a walk through the park. It's not always a walk through the park. It's going to take money. It's going to take a lot of phone calls. It's going to take mailing. It's going to be looking things up and getting everything settled. Okay? And then you can just go to the DMV or MVD, whatever that state says it is, what they call it, and go get everything taken care of. Yeah. There you go. Next, mail forwarding and domicile services. Okay. I'm going to read this, and I'm going to leave this information in comments, okay? Now, I'm going to list the main common ones that a lot of van lifers use. Okay, there's South Dakota. That's probably the most famous. In South Dakota, I've got the address, and I'm going to leave it. It's 514 America's Way, Box Elder, South Dakota, and then the zip code and the phone number. I'm going to leave all that there so you can call them, okay? Okay, the requirements for South Dakota. You need the mail forwarding contact and USPS form 1583, but they'll take care of that. You stay one night in South Dakota with the name and address receipt. You need to get a receipt. You can stay in a campsite. You can go stay in a hotel. You can stay, you can even, when you get there, you ask them and say, do you have any recommendations that are real close, okay? That's all you need is to stay one night. South Dakota, that's why it's so popular. They've got everything set up for us as van lifers. And why do they do that? I've read that the reason they do it is because South Dakota does not have a huge citizen population. So once you use this system, you become a resident, which means they have more representation in Washington, D.C. Okay? Some of the actual citizens that actually live there full time, they don't like it because that means you can vote. And they say you don't have any dog in the fight. So why would you be voting, our way? Okay? So they've tried to nitz it, but they didn't. They need residents. So you just need a valid ID, a social security number, and a citizenship proof. Excuse me. And which would be like your birth certificate. You need those things, okay? You have to surrender your old license. That's usually the case. In person, you have to mail renewal if you've been there in the past year. So in the next year, you can go ahead if it needs to be renewed. I'm not sure how often South Dakota you have to renew your license. I know I think in Arizona, it's 5 years, okay? Okay, so you can do optional voter registration and the vehicle registration. Okay, yes, you're going to have to register your vehicle there. You're going to have to work with insurance, and you're going to have to wait and get your driver's license. You have to go get your driver's license after that one night. You have to take everything. Now, it's called America's Mailbox. They'll help you. They'll help you with everything, but there is a cost. Otherwise, you just got to go find it yourself and go, okay, well, I'm going to go get my driver's license. Let me set up insurance. But America's Mailbox will actually help you with everything. But there is a price for that, okay? Then they're going to sign you up for America's Mailbox, okay? And that's going to be your mail forwarding. There's a price you have to pay every year. And there are expenses. You're probably going to have to, I've never used it before, but Max, my friend, he used it for a while, for a few years. Now he's different. But what you have to do is you have to deposit some money in to the account, because every time they have to send you something, it's going to cost you. And so you're going to be paying for those big envelopes, for stamps, for them going through your mail. I think you probably set it up as, no, I don't want junk mail. So that might cost you money so they can go through your junk mail. You have to sign forms because they can't just deal with your mail, without having your official consent. So there's a lot of forms you have to fill out. And then you can I'm sure they have all kinds of plans for you. So that's why I said it takes effort and it's going to take some money if you're going to use mail forwarding. Got it? Okay. So I'm going to leave in comments, I'm going to leave the address and the phone number. Now, another popular one is Texas. The most common is Escapees RV Club Mail Service. Now, you don't have to be a member of the Escapees. You can also use the mail forwarding service. And it's in Livingston, Texas, and I'm going to leave the address and the phone number. Now, the requirements for Texas. Escapees, the mail contact, USPS form 1583. You're going to have to sign a lot of papers, just like in South Dakota. You need proof of Texas auto insurance and vehicle inspection. You need a valid U.S. citizenship ID, Social Security number. You will end up surrendering your out-of-state license. You'll have to pass driver's license test if it's required, yes. And you need a form affidavit of domicile file and blah, blah, blah. You register your vehicles within 30 days. Now, you need to call them, okay? Because if you want, you're going to get your mail forwarding there, okay? And you're going to sign up for that. Then they're going to give you an address. Don't ask me why you can't use P.O. box numbers, but you can use these mail forwarding. There is obviously, I don't know the exact requirement, but there is a difference. You can't just go to UPS store and get a P.O. box number. Everything is changing now. I know that I'm going to get some comments that says, well, I use that. Well, I don't know how or why you're using that, okay? But I know that at this point in time, that gets flagged. You can't do that, okay? It has to be an actual mail forwarding company, okay? Okay, so you're going to have to call them and say, I want to, drive there, or how the forms online. I'm not sure how that works, but you call them, okay? Okay. Next is Nevada, Pahrump, Nevada. There's 2 or 3 of them that are there. It's a very popular it's a little town. But the one that gets used the most is Mail, Messages, and More. Yes. And I'm going to leave the address and the phone number and the email. Now, the requirements for that, you need mail contract, yes. USPS form 1583. You're going to sign these papers, just like when I mentioned in South Dakota. There's a whole lot of forms to sign. And there's a whole lot of different memberships, okay, to where you want them to do this, you want the full package, or you just want the basic, okay? But it is going to cost you money. It will. Okay, now here's the requirements for Pahrump. And if you want to call them or email them, they'll give you all this information. I'm just going to give you some of it. You stay 30 days in a campground, a hotel, an RV, and you got to have the receipts. Got to be a full month, a full 30 days. Yeah. And you have to say, that's why that's really going to cost money. I thought about doing that before I changed it with my son. And I figured, in all reality, I looked up on Expedia all the cost of different hotels. Now, if you're in a minivan, I'm not sure, you can call them and say, do you have any suggestions for an RV park? Because that's going to be cheaper. That will accept a minivan, because a lot of RV parks won't accept that, because you don't have the regular hookups. You don't have the facilities inside of your minivan. Basically you're using probably a bucket and a thing to pee and poop in and things like that. So some RV parks will not accept a minivan or a SUV, something like that. You have to have the facility inside, yes, for bathrooms, sinks. But you need to stay. I figured it would probably, in the end, be at least $2,000 to $3,000, because I would need to stay in a hotel for 30 days. I would have to be there, the travel time, the gas, things like that, yeah. and then the actual signing up and paying mail, where was it? Yeah, mail messages and more. Yeah. Okay. So there you go. And then after you get that, you're going to want to register your vehicle. You got to go get your driver's license, all that. You just need the same things: a valid ID, social security number, your birth certificate, things like that. Okay. So those are all legit methods. Okay? You either have to rent your own place or buy a place. You're going to have to use a friend or a family. Okay? Or you're going to have to pay somebody for a mail forwarding company that's legit. Okay? Okay. So there you go. I mean, those are your choices. That's it. Now, these are things you're going to want to avoid from being flagged. Because I remember when I first became a nomad, I left my apartment, and what I did was I got a P.O. box because I wanted to be able to get my mail. I immediately got a letter from the voting secretary in Arizona and said, you may not vote. This is not a valid address. I'm serious. I mean, this was at the post office. So I know firsthand, even 8 years ago, that if you use a P.O. box number, you will get flagged. Right. Now, I didn't have to go get my license because my license was still good for a while. But as soon as I got to Ohio, that's where I went. One of my first travels as a van lifer is I went to Ohio and I got my license. I used my daughter's address, excuse me, and I got my license there and my insurance and everything. Okay. So these are things you avoid. You will get flagged. The Florida mail forwarding. Okay, it says St. Brendan's Isle, my RV mail, that's a mail forwarding, they're flagged heavily. What they're doing in Florida, and a lot of people are disagreeing with me, but it's a new rule. If you use a mail forwarding, what they do is when you go to reestablish your license, get a new license because it's expired, they're going to put your license plate number on your driver's license. And then in turn, they flag you with everything, with their TSA, your banks. I've had a lot of people tell me that Wells Fargo locked them out of theirs because they renewed their driver's license and they got a letter from Wells Fargo that said, that's not valid. You cannot access your bank account. I'm quite serious. Somebody actually commented that to me, and I'm hearing things. So, but I also hear people say that's not true. Well, kind of is, right? Okay. Now, don't use a UPS store. Okay, that's seen as commercial. Don't use general delivery. That's not valid for a driver's license. And using your employer's address, no, that's typically rejected. I suppose you could try it, but typically that's rejected because that's now, I mean, look, the world has changed. We're on the internet now, okay? Everything is listed and flagged and put in like Google Maps. Everything is categorized now. And they know. It's not like before, not like in the 80s or even the 90s. Things are different. Everything is categorized now. They can, with 1 second, they can find information, right? We go on our phone, we can find information within 1 second. A commercial business is flagged as a business. It's not a residence. So, yeah. I suppose some might slip through, but okay. So there you go. I know this is kind of long. And let me know what you think. I know I'm going to get a lot of disagreements, but that's okay. I mean, as long as you're not rude. Don't be rude. I don't like rude people. I don't like the negativity. Yeah, I usually have to squelch all that. I mean, I have a life too, right? I have a right to be treated, with respect. This information, I'm putting it out free. You don't pay for it. Not on YouTube. You get to watch me for free, okay? So, now, if you want to support me, I got the books, okay? How to Live in a Minivan, the Minivan Leeway, and I've got Blackout Nomads, which deals with this very subject. The whole thriller, it goes around this actual subject. And then I've got more books. So if you want to support me, go on your Amazon app, type in Minivan Lee books, and they'll all come up, okay? Okay, well, I won't prolong this. I love you guys. I'm going to get on with my day. It's early in the morning. I haven't even lifted up my curtains yet. The sun's coming through, but morning sun, I'm going to get on with my day. But I saw this John Cook, and I thought, okay, I am going to be very unvague for you. You got those choices. And in each one, basically, it takes work. But I'll tell you, it's worth it in the end. I save in so much rent. Yeah. So, yeah. I will see you. I love you guys. See you tomorrow. Bye. Please subscribe. Okay?
Par ici, s'il vous plaît. Un instant. La presse ici. On peut vous parler? Votre attention, s'il vous plaît. Quelques mots pour les médias? Monsieur, madame. Une seconde, je vous prie. Hé, par ici. La caméra est prête.